Oh, what are you watching? The news?
It's the latest grammage.
Viewers at home will know that this now means that anyone over the age of 33 will now be dead. Oh my god, that's awful. Ugh, I know, I still have to wait a whole year. I love RPGs. I think that's pretty obvious. I was raised on the mean streets of Midgar. I was taught in the school of Balam. I was playing cards in Trino? All this to say that RPGs, specifically turn-based ones, run in my blood. Phlebotomists hate me. But why all this hullabaloo of an introduction? Well, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 recently came out, and it might just be one of my favourite games for quite some time.
It's simple, really. It's a fantasy adventure that takes place in the fictional land of Paris. Well, specifically Lumiere, but it's Paris. Everyone's French, there's the Eiffel Tower, exactly as I remember it, and a general artisanal feel that you can only find in Europe. Just like in regular France, it's plagued by a terrible curse. Over on yonder horizon sits the gigantic Paintress, a terrible witch who once a year paints a steadily decreasing number upon her monolith. In doing so, everyone who is that age or older dies. Like the Atetsupa in Midsummer, except, well, a lot less graphic.
It's really quite sad, actually. We initially follow Gustave as he wanders the streets of fake Paris to finally see his ex-lover, Sophie, one last time before she's taken from the world. With the support from Maëlle, he manages to muster the courage to face her once more. Although, not before we have a fun and quick combat tutorial first.
For those who come after.
Oh god, I f***ing killed Maëlle! Okay, look, it's going to be hard to make jokes in light of what is honestly quite a sad opening to a game. It features scenes of loved ones being ripped apart, children left behind by parents, and Gustave watching someone he once loved fade into nothing. Oh god.
In order to escape this terrible, horrible grief and reality, every year following the Gamage, various volunteers join in the expeditions, a quest to head out and finally put an end to this terrible nightmare. Given that there have been 67 expeditions prior, the chances are low, but the alternative is waiting for, well, the only problem is that, wouldn't you know it, things go wrong the moment the expedition lands.
Which expedition are you from?
Fall back! Surrounded by death, the futility of an impossible task, and racked with grief, there seems to be only one solution.
Thankfully, you don't blow your own brains out, as that would make a pretty short game all in all, and you decide to continue on, purely because what else is there at this point? As you continue through your journey, chasing after whatever remains of your party, you need to learn a little thing or two about fighting.
Expedition 33 is a turn-based combat game. You know the drill. You and your enemies stand around patiently taking it in turns to wail on one another for massive damage. It's fun. You've got a variety of skills and spells and enemies to attack, going from blasting them with your gun to just stabbing them with a sword. Importantly, much like the great works of Paper Mario, every enemy attack can be dodged, or more importantly, parried at a much greater risk to yourself. But a successful parry nets you a counterattack. And oh baby, this is what the game is all about. You'll be exploring the world, fighting enemies and searching for... Is that a mime? Oh god, it really just rocked me with a make-believe hammer. Maybe this mime roadblock is the wrong way. But then the other way also has this really big guy. Let's try that again. Just maybe once more?
Ready to evade.
Just one more time, honest. Oh no, I think I might be bad at this game.
When you're not fighting literal mimes or getting your face stoved in by the latest horror that you're too stupid to understand how to parry, you're out searching through the world, and it's consistently beautiful. Yes, before we get into the big meat of the game, I need to talk about how this game is quite frankly breathtaking. It's like a Baroque painting. It is filled with these strange and surreal landscapes and these exquisite, almost epic style skyboxes that invoke the sense of the sublime and grandeur of your quest.
Your first area is filled with these strange human shapes and faces, and it's just really unsettling. You walk through valleys of corpses, surrounded by the fallen shapes of those who came before, and these strange facsimiles of the very lives they loom over. You'll step into a new area and find yourself somehow under the sea, despite very much being on land, surrounded by seaweed, wrecked ships, and is that an actual whale? Like a sky whale? Is this Link's Awakening? Am I in a dream? But there's this incredible sense of contrast that takes place as you explore each location. You'll come across the last diaries of the expeditions that came before, piecing together the horrible ways they died, like this anchor through the face.
It was an ink bath. We squeezed those nevs dry. But this new one looks tougher than the others.
All while surrounded by the ephemeral beauty of these lands, just capturing that same haunting stillness that you might find in a wonderful piece of art.
This contrast isn't all just poeticism. While I personally may be struggling to make jokes, you know, given how we started... Yeah, Expedition 33 isn't afraid to be silly. You've got these merchants and gestrels who explode onto the scene out of nowhere, a whole city of them, and they only live for fighting and just being silly. It's a constant delight, and there are genuinely entertaining moments, you know, compared to...
With these merchants and records and mimes, there's a lot of reasons to explore during your travels to the Paintress, and it normally feels quite satisfying. You'll find really hard enemies that absolutely destroy you in seconds. And a variety of other bits and pieces, and it's not just limited to the actual dungeons and mystical areas that will have you searching high and low. There's also an overworld. Yes, bringing back something that has been missing from games for some time now, an actual, honest-to-goodness overworld. Oh man, I love it! Cutting out long, lengthy areas of boring plains, boring liminal spaces, and just boring fields that fill so many games. You get to stomp around on this big world map and try and find all sorts of hidden nooks and crannies. What do you find? Well, it's probably death. In fact, it's mostly death. But you might also find new dead bodies, which I guess is actually just death by a different colour. Well, the same colour. Also, you might stumble across something even worse than death. Something so terrible, so horrifying that I dare not speak its name. jumping puzzles. Yes, somewhat perversely, and in theory embracing the French sport of parkour, this game has a non-zero amount of precision platforming. It's infuriating. This is not a game designed around your ability to jump, given everyone jumps like a duffel bag full of ham thrown in a dream. While you can happily, readily avoid any of these hellish beaches during your travels through the dungeons, there will be small side tangents and secrets hidden behind your own inability to hop from one small platform to another.
I cannot stress just how beautiful this game is. Every location has its own unique feel, unique style, and just general atmosphere. And I don't just mean the water. The performances are great, with every character's voice actor just providing this incredibly emotive experience. It's just so good. One final gush before I talk about maybe the actual game, but the soundtrack is juicy. It is melody rich, so while it does have these big orchestral moments, it's not just general big band sound, and instead often falls back to lighter but more evocative tunes. It's the first time in a long while that I've truly noted the soundtrack of a game and found it to be truly additive to the experience. So, as we know, our story is basically a suicide mission to try and kill this near godlike figure who is forever on the horizon. It's better than the alternative, which is basically, suicide and death. But that doesn't mean you can just run up to the Paintress and punch her in the face. For starters, she seems to be gargantuan in size, and I feel like that'd be slightly more difficult. And you've also got to get your party back in order after, well, they all got instantly killed.
As you piece together your party with whatever scraps of humans remain, importantly, Maëlle the child,
Well, you sure smell real enough.
Lune the level-headed one,
When one falls, we continue.
who is able to stay focused, and eventually Ciel, who is just a real upbeat delight,
They're expecting a bit of a show. Shall we?
you continue to plod through this magical world, all with that singular focus, the Empress. Every time you set up camp, in almost every area, always on the map, she's just sat on the horizon, a constant reminder of your solemn task. Also, you step into this cave and meet the flying fairy-like creature Esquier.
Bonjour, mes amis.
He's great.
Mon ami.
He says mon ami. He's your vehicle for the game. That's right, you ride him. I'm sure there's Rule 34 already of that somewhere. But first, you need to get some of his stones back from Francois, who is this, angry rock fella.
I am not a rock. Do you have rocks for eyes? You certainly have rocks for brains. I am clearly a turtle. Esquier! Stop sending hooligans over here!
Stop being a meanie. They're nice humans.
Then keep them on your side of the caves!
I could have sworn that this game was meant to be bleak and dark.
Humans! Well, over my dead body! Rah!
It's quite refreshing to have an RPG where the characters are, pretty much by definition, 32 years old. Except Maëlle, of course. Also, Esquier is his own thing. I don't think he ages conceptually. But what this means is that the story feels mature. It's not just filled with 16-year-olds going, "Whoa, what on earth is that?" Instead, it's adults who have lived actual lives and have a concept of risk and loss greater than simply just, what if we fail our end-of-year exams? This isn't just a dig specifically at Persona. Even other games that in theory have older casts still feel somewhat lacking in that general sense of grounding maturity. In Final Fantasy VII, Cloud's sweet, supple body is 21. What was I doing when I was 21? Oh yeah, that's right. But to further highlight this, Sid, who is played off as this crotchety old man, is 32, right for Expedition 33. But instead, he's old. He's an old man. I'm not an old man, am I? Oh god, am I an old man now?
The way Expedition 33 handles its characters is honestly great. They're given the time and space to grow and express themselves, and it's good. There will definitely be a character you fall in love with, and let's be honest, it'll be Minoko. He joins you later on in your quest, and he's a Gestrel, like one of those weirdos who are obsessed with fighting.
No distractions, son. I'm really busy beating up strangers.
Except this one is sort of witty, sort of weird. How can a man with literally no face convey so much emotion?
There will be a lot of fighting, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
There will be a lot of fighting.
Exactly.
Count me in then.
Good.
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 Yes, good.
He's great. Speaking of, very quickly, the cutscenes are generally very good. They provide that great emotional depth you've come to expect.
Ooh, what about that one?
Does it really matter?
But they're not really just simple talking heads, all three-quarter shots and close-ups as people bobblehead around. The cutscenes are cool and dynamic. There's a lot of experimental color usage, and it just consistently feels quite impactful. Sure, there are times where cutscenes just sort of happen and you feel like you missed something.
That's a lot of red trees to search.
They must have some sort of track or trail leading to the village.
Wait, I hear something. It might be Nevrons. Be careful, okay?
A real blink and you'll have missed it scenario. But otherwise, it's cool. Even during the combat, you'll be treated to delights that leave your brain twisting and confused.
As I said earlier, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a turn-based RPG, which is pretty great. I think some people view it as some sort of dying art form, but at the same time, I feel like almost every game I've reviewed recently has been a turn-based RPG. So clearly that's wrong. But importantly, this is a really cool and fun system. It is like a mix between Paper Mario and Persona 5. Characters can free aim during combat to shoot enemies and maybe even attack their weak point for massive damage. And then, more importantly, everything can be parried.
With every move being both dodgeable and parryable, you'll find yourself in a difficult situation. Do you dodge enemy moves, which have a much wider margin of error, or go all in on trying to parry everything? I mean, obviously it's going all in, and then watch as the enemies go all in on stabbing you in the face.
Don't die!
It makes the combat feel quite unique, as every encounter remains engaging. There are so many ways you can tackle an enemy. You'll go from happily smashing the foe in whatever constitutes its face, to tensing up as it unleashes some medley of blows that you've got to dance, duck, and dodge around. Ow! Each character has their own unique fighting style. Gustav builds up damage in his arm with each hit, to eventually unload one giant explosive blast.
For those who come after.
Mael swaps between stances with each skill, and Lune generates elements that boost future skills. They're honestly super cool, as each character becomes their own little puzzle to work out the best combo of attacks to deal massive damage.
Minoko, the weirdo that he is, has his specialty as, well, feet. No, not feats of strength. Feet of feet. He's the Feet Wiki's #1 viewer and editor. He is your classic blue mage. He's stoic, he's covered in fur, he's got limited speech. But also in that as you kill new and unique enemies, you harvest their feet. And then Monoko can use new abilities based on that enemy. He's really fun.
What are you doing?
I just need the foot. Aha!
Also, another game that Expedition 33 has pulled from in the most literally made-for-me way possible is Final Fantasy IX, because you get these skills you can equip, and then once you've done enough fighting with them, you've unlocked them permanently. But then you can only equip as many as you've got points. And it's exactly like Final Fantasy IX, sort of. Well, not exactly, but it's the closest thing I've had for some time.
These Pictos are really cool. Some of them are simple and straightforward, like gaining AP on a dodge, or even gaining a buff when low on health, but you pick up more and more of them on your journey. They're one of the main things you'll be picking up as you explore, as well as the extra points to equip more of them. You can only equip skills to the rest of the party that have been unlocked through use. So if you're always trying to unlock things, you're always slightly off build as you'll be unlocking something new. These are super cool because you will be coming up with weird and unique builds for each party member, depending on just what you sort of vibe with. I steadily added every free aim ability I could to my staff, meaning you'd start a fight and he'd just start blasting, unloading his gun into the enemies, loading them up with all sorts of debuffs. Or my Mael's entire reason for living was stacking enemies with insane amounts of burn. So all of her Pictos doubled burn and added burn through various effects.
This is such a juicy system. It's just the right level of tools to fiddle and tinker with that means you're not so completely overloaded by numbers and figures and percentile gains that feel basically worthless. This, alongside the weapons that also have a variety of unique skills and quirks to them that ultimately affect how you may play a character, it just makes this gang of cool kids incredibly variable. A lot of games will just have you limited to one playstyle for one character. But here, well, the world is your oyster. Or like maybe, I don't know, a blank canvas to paint your own ideas onto. Or something.
There are stats which you level up, and each weapon has its own unique scaling, just like Dark Souls, except this feels a lot less clear. Should I just be dumping all my stat points into one thing for that juicy damage? Or do I actually need points in defense and health? But then, do I really need health and defense when I'll just be dodging and parrying all the time?
Let's keep going. Feeling better. Good.
Yes, because you're not going to be successful every time. You're just not. As much as I loved the parrying and eventually mastering the timing on all sorts of enemies, sometimes the enemies really take the piss. As you progress further through the game, enemy attacks become longer and longer. All it takes is one missed parry to knock you out of your rhythm. But also, enemies begin getting 2 rounds of attack back to back before you even get one. You're parrying an endless sequence of attacks where one simple slip-up will lead to your death, and probably more enemy attacks. Sometimes the battle camera angle can make things slightly difficult to decipher when you're about to get struck.
Take your shot.
And paired up with monsters who sometimes have annoyingly slow and staggered attacks, like a bully holding their fist over your head to purposefully trip you up, things can be a tad frustrating. My god, just let me have a go already.
Finally, and this may just be my old man brain here, but don't worry, I'll be dead next year, if the Paintress has her way. It's just that it's not just dodge and parry. 2 buttons. Steadily, more and more concepts are introduced. Some attacks flash a symbol that mean they can be jumped. But don't just jump when they do the symbol, you gotta wait to press a third new button for when it's appropriate. Later on again, you learn about gradient counters, where the enemy flashes a color and then you get to press a fourth button to counter it. However, when the screen flashes up to let you know it's a special counter, you still may have to wait for the enemy attack. And my god, my brain just cannot handle that. To have two different special inputs that flash up with a big warning going, "Crisis alert! Press the special button now!" But actually is more like, "Be prepared to press the special button." Well, I'm always going to pretty much read it as a crisis alert and fail it. Again. Also, there's like super special skills that get unlocked later on. And these are naff. You can only use them once you've used enough AP on skills, so using big skills charges it up quickly. But it still takes forever. Then the further into the game you go, the more it feels like it tries to focus on countering attacks as its main form of dealing with a foe. So you're not really using skills as much maybe? Then finally, it takes so much to get this bar filled up that the fight is, well, probably over before you can use a level 1 special skill that's useful, let alone even think about getting it up to level 3. I never did. What are these special skills? Are they cool? Are they useful? Do they let me shoot with gun more? Just give me like a heightened limit break stance or something, like a trance. Yeah! Now, I may have made this slightly obvious with all the name dropping of games I love I've done in this video so far, but this game feels like it was made specifically for me. I'm going to talk about the wider themes and bits here, so I don't know, maybe skip ahead if you want, but I'll basically be keeping spoilers to a 0 either way. Now then, this game was made for me and me alone. It was like the developers had spent years of their life following me around, watching my every move, observing my every thought and fancy. Wait, did you hear that? So you've got the obvious things that I obviously love. The equipment system that is all but lifted straight from my sweet precious angel, Final Fantasy IX. It's literally equipping things to unlock their permanent skill before moving on to the next new piece of exciting gear with new skills. That's Final Fantasy IX, baby, and I was shocked that I hadn't seen it again since. The turn-based combat is just like those RPGs I grew up on, with a mixture of Final Fantasy X and Paper Mario and the Mario and Luigi games. It's great. It just feels like such a love letter to RPGs without necessarily being stuck in the past. It manages to achieve its own unique style while still being true to the genre. Then, just like Final Fantasy IX, it manages to hold this great blend of tragic and sad story, and just downright silly fun.
Get out of my way!
Jeez, tu pochino paparino.
No, it's just it's the password.
Pico femicola, gor granda bari bombino, passwordito, gomiku rapito sava.
It never feels jarring like in a lot of other games where you hit that inevitable need for anime hijinks.
Moving on.
And instead, these adult characters laugh and joke when it feels appropriate. Yes, Monoko is mostly a comic relief character, but he still has these great story moments that are deeper and obviously sadder.
In circles, you're blind.
It just feels like a game built on the memory of my own childhood. Then, if we take things beyond the games that influence this one, the general themes of the story are exactly the sort of thing that I try to touch upon in my own writing. Alright, stories, or well, novels I guess. I'm not particularly good at it, but it's something I've been doing in what little free time I have. I even wrote and edited an entire novel. I sent it off and everything, and well, heard nothing back. So I can only assume the wretched stench of failure that sits with me travelled through the internet pipes and gave me away. But I am currently writing another novel, so you know, that's good. The point is, my writing often tries to explore themes of grief, identity, connection, and just general existentialist philosophy. Yes, I grew up playing a lot of JRPGs that end in killing God. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has a story filled with this. From the inherent fatalism of the world itself, characters just accepting their death before it's even happened. These ideas of grief grounded in the repeated lines for those that come after, and the idea of for those who came before. By coming across all these logs, you get this sense of loss and legacy throughout the whole thing. The whole game is mired in the sticky fear of death. It's everywhere you look. You walk past endless dead bodies. People are just constantly dying, and there's this never-ending idea of how you deal with that, how you remember someone, how you move on once they're gone. What I'm saying is that these themes all feel very personal to me. They're everything I wish to convey in my own creative works. So to have a game that just do that so effectively and in such an engaging manner is great. It's inspiring. It makes me as a writer and creator want to do better. I could talk at great length about the endings and all the ideas that come with it, and this is a game whose story makes me just want to talk about it. This game just resonates with my skull and my brain. It's everything my little moody self is obsessed with. It may not surprise you when I say that I loved this game. There are definitely infuriating aspects about it. It has a couple of rough edges that can be frighteningly frustrating. While the final act is honestly an incredible piece of storytelling, it suffers from having little to no direction. It's far too easy to find yourself bouncing around post-game areas that instantly kill you wherever you go, and then after struggling through all of that, you go to do the final boss and discover that you're horrifically over-leveled and it's no longer a challenge. If it just had a little bit of a, hey, you maybe want to go over here and here first and then come to these later, that would have tidied it all up greatly. But with all that said, from the presentation, the acting, the music, the story, and the combat, this is a delightful game. The rough edges don't ruin the whole experience for me. They're just odd bits of friction that you normally pass right on by. I realized that a lot of games, specifically RPGs, that I end up reviewing, I have this idea of being great, so good, but in hindsight were weaker. Did I really love Metaphor? It's good, but did it really push the boat out enough, you know? Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is the new measuring rod by which to judge others by. It manages to nail just about every aspect that it goes for, and at about 36 hours, it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's quite frankly probably going to be my game of the year, because it made me cry a whole lot. Hello, and thank you for watching my video. As ever, I'm literally filming this in a heat wave. I think like in a couple of days it's going to be 33 degrees, which doesn't sound very warm, but in the UK it's pretty warm. Like, I'm in a block of flats. All the heat around me captures it in and there's nowhere for it to go. And I'm so moist, I'm so sweaty. You might be able to see my delicious glisten of like sparkling, like a sexy vampire. Anyway, Expedition 33, Clair Obscur. Honestly, it's a great game. I really recommend it to everyone. Just play it, just play the game. It's so good. It's honestly great. I finished it and then I had to I just felt depressed for the entire day afterwards because none of my friends were around, so I couldn't gush to it, to talk to them about it. Not that they'd care, but you know. And they're it was raining as well, so I couldn't go for a long walk. I was just sort of walking around my flat being like, huh, guess I killed myself. you know, so if that's the experience you want, it's a great game. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know your experience, how the ending really got into your brain and made you think, huh, guess I killed myself. So yeah, leave a like or a comment or whatever. Other videos that I've done are up here, the most recent of which I should know because it's about a board game, a little board game called Star Realms Rise of Empire. Oh my god, which is a great game. It's a really fun, like, legacy version of a classic deck building game. And I love deck building games, and I love Star Realms, and the legacy game was fun. Down here is a review about, let's say, Blueprints. It's probably meant to be something else, but let's say Blueprints, purely because it's a game that I think a lot of people also have on their Game of the Year contention list. But I had issues with it, so, you know, check it out. It's a video that is mired, good use of the word mired again, in problems. But, you know, otherwise you can click on my increasingly sweaty face to subscribe, where there'll be a big face orb on my face. Thank you and goodbye.